Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Liveability, Governance and Finance Standing Committee on Wednesday, the 12th of July, here in the Warren Trust Chamber. Thank you for being with us today. I know we've got a couple of announcements. I'm going to flick to Councillor Erkins first, who's got a rather exciting announcement.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to wish, on behalf of the Chamber, a very happy birthday, a very happy 100th birthday to Eileen Horn. She was born the 12th of July 1923 and she celebrates 100 years today. So happy birthday, Eileen, and I'll see you Saturday.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Horn. Do we, as a council CEO, Mark, could we write a letter to Mrs. Horn, or have we done that?
Yeah, we under control and also certificates for hundreds. Yep.
That is so special, 100 years. Councillor Duff, could I turn to you? We've got some sad news to share today.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. On behalf of the council, I would like to extend our deepest sympathy to the Otto family in the sad loss of particularly our Mayor Brett Otto, who has lost his mum Pauline. We ask for the Lord to bless Pauline, Mayor Brett and the Otto family during this sad time, and I'd ask you all to observe a minute's silence in respect of Pauline Otto. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff, and certainly our condolences to Mayor Otto. Just want to say a giant thank you to our team who are out working across our communities of the South Burnett today and who have done a marvellous job putting together today's agenda, only 208 pages, so good that it's a little bit smaller one. In terms of leaves of absence, I know we have Mayor Otto and Councillor Jones. I'd just like to move that the apology received from Mayor Otto and Councillor Jones be accepted and leave of absence granted, and seek a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Duff. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. The acknowledgement of our traditional owners. Councillor Duff, would you mind, after such a wonderful week of celebration with NAIDOC Week?
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Shoemaker, yes, I'd like to acknowledge country and the traditional owners of the land where we meet this morning, the Waka Waka land, and pay our respect to the elders, both past, present and emerging. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Declarations of interest. I know we have just a couple. I would like to inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in relation to item 16.2, legal update on planning matters before the Planning and Environment Court. The nature of my interest is that this declarable conflict of interest arises due to a close personal relationship whereby my sister lives in close proximity to the proposed 5G tower, and I currently house sit at a property only a few kilometres away. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on. You're right. Thank you, T. Councillor Henshin.
Yes, thank you, Acting Chair. Kirsty Shoemaker. The same, 16.2, as stated previously, a conflict of interest because I have a family member that lives in close proximity. So declare that I'm happy to leave the chambers in the meeting place and vacate the room while that's taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henshin. And Councillor Potter?
Yes, I, Councillor Potter, inform this meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in relation to item 16.2, which is a legal update of planning matters before the Planning Environment Court. The nature of my interest is as follows. I declare this declarable conflict of interest arises due to a close personal relationship whereby my husband is a member of the Pistol Club, which is in close proximity to the proposed tower. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Are there any other conflicts of interest to be raised today? No. Due to the lack of quorum with both Councillors Jones and Otto away today, we have got a motion here that I'd like to move that due to the lack of quorum for item 16.2, legal update on planning matters before the Planning and Environment Court, and defer the meeting to a later meeting, and seek a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. It's a procedural motion, so we'll just go to the vote. Those in favour?
Yes.
Thank you, that's carried unanimously. That matter will be referred to a later meeting when the council has quorum. Now, we did have Kylie presenting on behalf of the South Burnett Spinal Group her deputation today. Is Kylie's not in the chamber? No. Shall we just defer that to a later meeting? Yeah. Will you need a motion for that?
No, if we just hold it in abeyance, Chair, and we hadn't had a confirmation back from when we haven't heard any other further information from when we booked it in for them. So if Kylie is unable to get here today, we'll catch up with her and defer her to a later meeting.
Thank you, CEO Mark. So item 6, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Can I have a mover that the minutes of the Liveability, Governance and Finance Standing Committee held on the 14th of June be received? Thank you, Councillor Henson. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any matters arising from the minutes or discussion from my colleagues? No. So we'll go to the vote. Those in favour?
Yes.
Thank you, carried unanimously. Item 7 on the agenda, which is at page 30, is Mayor Otto's corporate governance and strategy, people and culture, communication and media, finance and sustainability, ICT and business systems, community representation and advocacy, and the 2032 Olympics and Paralympics report. Being that Mayor Otto is away today, we may take that report as read, and I would seek a seconder for the officer's recommendation. A mover, thank you, Councillor Potter, and a seconder for the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Are there any questions from my colleagues or anything you'd like to mention in relation to Mayor Otto's report? No? So we'll go to the vote. Those in favour of receiving the report? Thank you, that's unanimous. Thank you, Tiana. Okay. Item 7.2, contractual arrangements over $200,000 for 22-23. And the officer's recommendation is that the report be received for information. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Henson, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Councillor Duff, this was in response to initial inquiry that you had made regarding Red Frost contract. Do you have any questions? Yes?
Thank you. Just wanted to thank the staff for bringing this report forward. It's pleasing to see the number of locals that have been included in that local buy over 200,000. I saw on the list that this significant amount of locals, which is good to see, and that was my concern. Was these decisions were being made and council wasn't being informed. So look forward to these reports coming to the chamber regularly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Duff. We have got our procurement specialist in the room. Is there anything you'd like to add, Lou? No? Any further comment or discussion about the report? No, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you.
Yes.
That's carried unanimously. Thank you, Tiana. Item 8.1, South Burnett, the adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council electronic signatures policy. The recommendation is that that the committee recommends to council that the South Burnett Regional Council electronic signatures policy strategic 035 be adopted as presented. Can I seek a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Erkins, and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Certainly the report is there for everyone's viewing, and I know we have had opportunity to meet with Brandon in relation to this report. Is there any questions in relation to discussion in relation to the policy? No? So we'll go to the vote. Those in favour of the officer's recommendation? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Page 40.
42.
Thank you. I was doing so well electronically, but I was too nervous to have my agenda electronic for chairing the meeting. It's a skill, right? Okay, page 44, 8.2, the adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council Gifts and Benefits Policy Strategic 002. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommends to council that the South Burnett Regional Council Gifts and Benefits Policy Strategic 002 be adopted as presented. Can I seek a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Erkins, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Are there any questions, discussions in relation to this policy? Yes, thank you, Councillor Erkins.
Madam Chairman, I'd just like to congratulate the staff. They've really brought these policies and made them much more simple to understand, taken out a lot of unnecessary wording, and very, very good to follow, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Erkins. Yes, Councillor Duff.
Just on page 48, it's just got, it is not appropriate for council representatives to be offered or to accept gifts or benefits that may be likely to affect or could reasonably be perceived to affect the independent and impartial performance of their official duties. So, I mean, I think that councillors would be receiving like small gifts regularly because, you know, you go to a function, you might get someone for making a speech or something. They might give you, I don't know, like a cake. Well, I mean, people make me, like, sometimes I get a gift, like a pink, bottle of wine or something like that. And when you say it's not appropriate to accept a gift, I guess you're only talking about, like, if just wanted some clarification from the CEO around what would be regarded as something that wasn't appropriate to accept.
Okay, thanks, councillor, and through the chair. The reason that it's worded the way it is, it's the important part of it is the perception of the effect on the decision-making process. So if I've got a matter coming before council and all of a sudden one of the representatives or an issue or one of the objectors to that matter comes along and offers me I think it was the poor old New South Wales Premier got a bottle of Penfolds Grange. That's not appropriate, and hence there's issues. And so I've had staff over a period of time, and actually it's a good opportunity. The amount of declaration, even for those small people, get caps and things like that with forms that are filled in, the registers that are kept. I had a different council, but I had an engineer come along, and he was gifted by a contractor a bottle of Dalrymple whiskey. Dimple whiskey. I'm not a whiskey drinker, I'm sorry, but anyway, he felt uncomfortable with it. It was $44, I think, was the value at the time. I'm not sure what that's worth now, but he felt uncomfortable, so he handed it in because he didn't want to take it. And it's that sort of thing. If something makes you uncomfortable, it's the Courier Mail test. If there's a perception that there's no issue in keeping a small gift if people make craft or cakes or all that sort of thing. Declaration is the key. It's a greater sin not to declare than it is to accept the gift. Again, the New South Wales Premier example, his issue was not the bottle of wine at the time, it was the failure to declare and then say that he didn't receive it, which he corrected the record, but it was a bit late after that. It's if the gift makes you feel uncomfortable, or there could be a reasonable perception by a normal person or a reasonable person. It's the reasonable person test. Would a reasonable person think that this gift has a potential? Now, there's thresholds. So, is real life as this sounds, like a carton of, well, it used to be a carton of Forex. It's probably a carton of Northern Heavies now, but that's around that sort of. If someone gives you a $50 or greater gift, well, absolutely declare. There's a range of thresholds in there. $500 gifts absolutely go onto the register of interest. If someone gives you gifts over a period of time and it becomes cumulative, and this is over many years, so even though they may be doing it out of goodwill, the moment it hits that cumulative total of $500, it goes on the registers. Well, the gifts go on the registers, but then it goes on the register of interest as a gift over $500, even though it may have been done in parts over many years. So it is written specifically like that. Would a reasonable person feel that it gives a perception of bias or would have an influence on a council officer or a councillor doing their role? And that's what it's designed to do. So it comes back to the individuals. A lot of these things is, do you feel comfortable in accepting the gift?
Thank you, CEO Mark, for that comprehensive information. Yeah, that does clarify it. It's certainly if you receive people crochet me pink things and stuff, all I've got to do is just declare them, and then they go on that register. If they're over 500, they go on that register of interest. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Just if you have a close personal relationship with somebody in the community, like it's difficult in our regional communities because, we know everybody. But if you have a close personal relationship with somebody and you would, if they put forward something to council for decision, you would actually declare a conflict and leave the room, and they give you a gift for your birthday or something like that, do you have to declare those sorts of things?
If the dark arts of the conflict of interest, close personal relationship or close business relationship is a conflict to start with, so so that's an issue. Personal, do people give gifts? If it's the birthday and it's a gift for a birthday, it's a personal matter. It's not of interest to council. The close personal relationship would be picked up in which case if there was a matter that came before council. And a lot of this applies to the decisions of council. So there often is, just thinking without going too far down the rabbit hole, but sometimes there's activities that happen outside the decision-making process, but if there was a close personal relationship and they had a planning matter coming to council, in any which case it would automatically pick up a conflict whether they gave you a birthday card or not. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Not that I get a lot of gifts, but I don't want to have to start writing up my birthday gifts or those things. Okay, are there any further conversations or no? So we'll go to the vote. Those in favour of the officer's recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you. That's moved unanimously. Moving on to 8.3, the adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council Information Management Record Keeping Policy Statutory 039. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommends to council that the South Burnett Regional Council Information Management Record Keeping Policy Statutory 039 be adopted as presented. Can I seek a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Erkins, and thank you, Councillor Henshin, for a seconder. Are there any questions, comments from my colleagues in relation to this policy? We did also workshop this one previously, and I agree with Councillor Erkins. I think the team are doing an amazing job really reviewing these policies, the integrity of the policy, the language. Thank you very much for all of your efforts, Manager Rebecca and your team. And certainly it's always wonderful to catch up with Brendan and Brandon and actually go over them. So if there's no comment or discussion, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour of receiving the officer's recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Potter. That's moved unanimously. Item 8.4, the adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council Corporate Risk and Audit Advisory Committee Policy Statutory 022. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommends to Council that the South Burnett Regional Council Corporate Risk and Audit Advisory Committee Policy Statutory 022 be adopted as presented. Can I seek a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Erkins, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Potter. The report is there, very similar to the last one. Is there any questions, comments from my colleagues? No, comfortable. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? You in favour, Councillor Potter?
Yes, sorry.
Yep. Thank you. That's moved. Seconded. Passed unanimously. Okay, 8.5, notice to repeal South Burnett Regional Council trading on local government controlled areas, facilities and roads policy statutory 023. Officer's recommendation that the committee recommend to Council that the South Burnett Regional Council trading on local government controlled areas, facilities and roads policy statutory 023 be repealed. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Henson, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any discussion in relation to this policy or the report?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Potter.
Yeah, I'd just like sort of clarification with regards to this one, because I don't know whether I fully understand this particular one. So can I just have them talk to this one a little bit, because I don't remember this discussion.
Rebecca, would you like to, Manager Rebecca, would you like to just provide a report on this one?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Acting Chair, this one has been proposed to be repealed because it actually reflects a local law that we have. So there's nothing really new in this policy, and that's why it's been identified that we probably don't require it at this stage because of that local law. But I can, Acting General Manager Brooks can probably add some more detail if.
Yeah, through you, Acting Chair. Yes, fully support the comments that the provisions of this policy is adequately covered in the existing local law and subordinate local law, so it's really surplus to our needs.
Thank you for confirming that. Any further questions, Councillor Potter? No?
No.
All right, everyone's comfortable. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour of the officer's recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you. That's moved unanimously, carried unanimously. All right, point 8.6. We might have a bit of discussion about this one because I'm impressed, Councillor Potter, with your long list of items that you've added, which is wonderful to discuss at the local conference. Would you like to start the conversation, Councillor Potter?
Yes. So with this particular one, I've got, I'm not too sure whether some of this has already been sort of put forth, but with regards to the first one, the DV support, I was recently talking to a gentleman the other day who'd been in a situation and there was absolutely no support for him in a domestic violence situation, and I just feel that that's probably something that we need to look at within our area, because it is an issue. We still need more DV support for the women, but we also need that other support for men, because the only DV support for men are the perpetrators courses that they can do. So with regards, and I think water, I'm not too sure whether we've sort of discussed this. We've already got the 25-year roadmap that you've worked on, Councillor Shoemaker, and I know we've spoken this on a federal level, but the water issue is really should be raised at the state level, I think, for us, because I think they have veto over whatever the federal government says. So something in that space, I think, but, I don't know whether that's working on, I know we're doing some work on Monday with regards to our advocacy action plan, so I don't know whether that sits there or here. The support for rural GPs, I mean, we've got a lot of GPs in our area that, that they can't even go on leave unless they shut their surgery down because, they don't have that GP support. And I'm thinking that if we could get more support for our GPs and also more GPs in our area, don't ask me how to word that one, please, because this is an issue that's not only here, it's literally right across all the rural areas within Queensland and Australia, actually. It's not just a local issue. It's bigger than her, I think, this one. Now, the bat issues. We discussed this at Canberra, but I think the state government can probably help us in this area. We've always had issues with bats, whether it be at Proston or Blackbutt, and they've come back at Blackbutt. And we have spent a lot of money trying to sort this issue out. And I'm just wondering whether the state government would actually come on board and actually help the local communities, because we don't have the money and funding to be working in this space as much, I don't think. I think it's something that we've really got to look at and see what support we can get from state government on that one. Funding for the arts in rural areas. Well, I just want more money for the arts, guys. So that just... And that's all arts, I know we're actually a lot better than what we were, which I'm very grateful for the council in supporting. But I just think we can do probably more for arts in our area, because when you look at arts is it's a mental health thing as well. Whether it's music or painting or anything like that, to me, it all works towards your mental health as well. Now, this particular one, we've got a lot of renewables coming up in our area. Toorong is a great space, and what they do is they have their community grants, they help our community, but I'm just trying to figure out what the renewable companies that we have around us actually do, and is it a legal requirement for them to actually support local communities? And that's something I think we really need to look into and see if they can do exactly what Toorong and Stanwell have been doing for our community for years. Housing and homelessness, I think that goes without saying. Councillor Shoemaker, you're in that space as well. So if you want to talk to that one, we seem to have a lot of people saying that they're going to do stuff, but nothing seems to be happening in our area. And also with regards to gambling, I actually found out a statistic the other day that the South Burnett is actually not a very good area at the moment for gambling. We have a very high gambling rate. So the payout on our gambling machines in April was 1.3 million. 1.3 million was the payout on our gambling machines, which means 40% more than that at least was put into those machines in the month of April. Now, as a further on to that, in May, that statistic went up to 1.6 million. So an extra 300,000 was paid out in the gambling machines, which means an extra 40% on top of that was put in. So with those statistics, I do believe, and Lifeline is trying to work in this space now, but I do believe that that is our big issue. And there's also a connection between gambling issues and suicide prevention. So I think that's probably, and the South Burnett has actually been identified along with Gatton as main areas of concern. So I do believe that there's something there that we need to sort of do in that space.
Yes, Councillor Potter, thank you for your work on that and for the list of certainly issues that I think we all across the 77 councils of Queensland certainly share in. I can see there's also been some feedback put in relation to our recent conversation with Colin Boyce in relation to water infrastructure. Was that you, Councillor Duff?
Excuse me. Yes, Councillor Shoemaker. Yes, I actually sent these through last night to Kim because I made note of what Colin Boyce said, and he said that those were the two that I want to put forward. The state government changed legislation back to what it was before 1992, so that water is deemed as an essential service. And because currently it is full cost recovery and under the Environmental Protection Act and a lot of other legislation and acts that make it cost prohibitive to build dams or weirs, charging it to an essential service, and those problems and costs will go away. That was his comments on that one. And the other one was the state government makes an agreement through the National Cabinet to allow the federal government to build water infrastructure in the national interests. And so that was another one that he said those two would make the difference with the whole getting those, all those water projects that we want to get up. So that's why I took his that word for word. So I'm just putting forward what Colin actually declared we needed to do. And then the other one I had was that, that the state government introduced the reforms that came out of the inquiry into the independent assessor and councillor conduct complaint system. So I don't believe that they have actually implemented those reforms. So they were the three suggestions I wanted to put forward.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Duff. I certainly had referred to my notes that I'd made from our meeting with with Colin Boyce, and yeah, fully agree after the work that's been done with the Queensland Government in relation to the Bundaberg-Burnett Regional Water Assessment. It's clear that we are going to need significant change to actually get action in terms of infrastructure. Instead of more reports, we actually want to see shovels in the ground. So I think those are really excellent. Thank you for that. Councillor Erkins, have you got anything to add?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I just wonder if it's possible for us to have a little bit of a workshop to work out what items are of importance and to get these done, whether we would have time to get that done prior to the deadline of getting the motions in. It would be good to sort of sit down amongst one another and raise some of these issues, some we may not have thought of yet. So I just don't know, Mr. CEO, whether that's possible for us to organise that.
Okay, so short answer, no. The motions have to be endorsed by ordinary meeting of council, July meetings next week, and they have to be in by the 9th of August, so you won't have another ordinary meeting between now and then. What the purpose of today is to get all the ideas here and between and out, and that's a fairly comprehensive list. And we've also got, Chair, the one that came out of the Bruce Saunders meeting with the transfer of reserves from there the other day in there as well. So we can adopt this as it is, and it'll come back for another chomp next week to the ordinary meeting, because they have to have a council resolution, otherwise LGAQ won't accept them. So yeah, would love to have a workshop, and certainly there is, without just the practicalities of getting them all together, there's too many on that list to submit as far as getting at least a decent. And I think, and please leave it on there, but I think, and I was just actually having a quick look for it, in the state budget, the state government announced funding for the OIA reform. So, but anyway, we can do a little bit of a narrative if they're funding it and rolling them out. I can remember Alison from LGAQ putting out a media statement. They were pleased that they'd finally got started on actually doing that. So if that's the case, and I'm remembering correctly, that one will drop off. And yeah, but yeah, so certainly have a read, and would love to have a little bit of a session with you, but yeah, we just have to have them done next week.
Yeah. So how many are we able to actually submit?
You can submit as many as you like, but there's they need a précis, a background, a research, check what's been done before. There's actually a form that has to be filled in. This the executive staff and Councillor Shoemaker's worked with me on the water ones before. There's a fair volume of work, so we've submitted, I think, 8 to 10 in the past and 6 on occasion. It's a week, well, I won't say a week's work, but you don't get them done in a day. Yeah. So
it would be nice, but if it was at all possible for us to get together to go through those and identify which ones we believe are the most important to work on to get through. So I don't know whether.
Well, we've got Monday where we'll be together to do the advocacy for those who can make it on Monday. So we'll have the rough, as I said, I'll use the OIA one just because I think it's been funded. Again, check. But we'll have the agenda papers out for Monday, so we'll be here Monday so we can run through them and prior to the meeting and just, okay. Because the domestic violence one, and I totally support Councillor Potter's statement being on the committee and state committee with the DV for the men. But we put one up last year, was accepted, and LGAQ has its committee and it has the state committee and things like that. And I just don't know that we're just repeating exactly what we got up last year. Now, nothing much has probably happened in that space, but it's a live resolution of the LGAQ policy executive and they're pursuing it. So is it worth doing that one again?
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so Monday
would be great.
Monday would be a good opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Henshin.
Thank you, Acting Chair. Yeah, look, just a couple of things. And one, point out the coal mines to pay communities and so should renewable energy companies. That was interesting because only yesterday in this chamber we had a renewable energy company here throwing figures at us where they actually have, and I'm not sure, Councillor Potter, whether you may have left the meeting, so please excuse me if you hadn't, but they were sharing with us just that, in the lines of that, where Proximal Neighbours Program, Community Futures Fund, so renewable companies are, but there is nothing set in stone or any concrete guidelines them to have to do anything. Again, comes under good old Code 23. So that'll be interesting. And the other point I bring, that with these dot points here, Councillor Erkins, as you probably saw last year, if they get supported by other councils as well, you go in there with a little bit more punch. And I would like to think in the past 12 months since going to the last LGAQ conference, that the coal mines and the renewable companies, with the development in that space, there may be other companies put up a proposal similar to that, or a motion similar to that, that we share at the LGAQ. And I think last year, several motions, correct me if I'm wrong, CO Mark, several motions we put up, we shared with other councils as well at that LGAQ conference. So I think, yeah, there's some good things there. Certainly the DV support last year was well supported. Water, that's on the tip of everybody's tongue. Bats, the bat one, you know, that'll be select. The only councils that may have that problem will be the ones on the coastal areas, and that came up at last year's LGAQ conference with Gladstone, with their bat issues in Gladstone Regional Councils. So, yeah, look forward to Monday, of course, but whatever we put up, I'm sure those dot points will be on other councils' agenda and motions as well. Hence is why, again, the importance of these conferences that we go to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henshin. Yes, Councillor Erkins.
Just to make the council aware, that was actually one of the motions, I believe, something similar that went through the national conference. And just to inform councillors that there were several councils who spoke on that. And while regional councils were very conscious of the need for these companies to assist, the opinion appeared to be, from the discussion that was held, the city areas felt that these companies were doing enough for our for the environment, and they really didn't think that they should have to make a contribution, because their contribution was already to saving the environment. And it was pretty obvious from the different speakers. The regional areas that were affected were very keen for them because they were aware of the impact they had on their community and were very keen. But the speakers from the city areas were more of the opinion that, you know, they were doing a great thing for our environment and they shouldn't have to contribute any further. But that was the general speak on it. Councillor Potter may have more to add to that.
Yes, Councillor Potter.
Yes, so Councillor Erkins is correct. It was something that went through federal, and I'm just wondering whether we can nearly take that same or something similar to that motion. But I just want to talk to the DV ones. So, Mark, if we don't do a motion for the DV, is that something we can bring up in the DV? Because I know they only talk about, you know, we usually only talk about domestic violence and women at those groups. So maybe at that state DV support group, we need to, on that state level, we need to actually bring up this issue, because it was quite, the gentleman that I spoke to, you know, he'd been through a lot, and I think that they really do need some help in that space.
Yeah, and certainly we'll have a look at if there's a variation on what we put up last year, and I've got the actually stuff sitting on the desk from the LGAQ feedback from it. So we'll have a look anyway and see if we can target something.
Yep.
As I said, we'll run through these and do a cursory run through them for next week's agenda, and then
Forward to it.
talk about them Monday. And just, if I may, too, out of last year's, a change in philosophy or approach from LGAQ, Eight resource councils across the state put up a range of resolutions and motions about the resource sector, renewable energies, and a lot of them were consolidated and a lot of them were joint resolutions presented between the 8 councils and a huge amount of commonality. LGAQ and what's come out of it is the resource council group. So LGAQ, rather than going off to individual ministers, have consolidated all those 8 resolutions, the 8 councils, and formed a resource council group. And that's been making representation on both coal mining and the renewable energy industry with regular meetings with Director General Mike Kaiser in Brisbane and different things. So it is one of the, why do you go to conference? This is one of the significantly important aspects of both state and national conferences, because it's an opportunity for a council, a smaller council, to have an issue raised at both state and national level, and then the national and state bodies pick them up and they become part of their policy platform going forward. So these resolutions are, and we generally have, hence the work that goes into them, we're generally very successful with getting our resolutions up. So you actually do have a feed into the state and national agendas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually really, really proud of the work that our council has done. And certainly over the last couple of years, I've spent enormous hours of my time in all hours of the night working with Paul Cranch and the team, Nathan, in the LGAQ office in Brisbane, actually writing a lot of those motions and a lot of the briefing information that's gone forward and informed that Resources Council collective. And also worked with the Banana Shire Council Mayor, Gladstone Mayor, Mount Isa Mayor, having these conversations over the last couple of years. Those conversations have been had at conference. So, yeah, the value is clear when you end up sitting at tables with DGs talking about issues that are actually happening in our backyard. So I'm very, very grateful for the work that has happened from those conferences, and I think it just speaks to the reasons why we should be there. Just noting, because I have written a lot of the discussion points for the Resource Council motions, the one around coal mines to pay communities, Councillor Potter, I'd just like to add a couple of notes in there, Tiana. Just the Clean Energy Council actually has some clear guidelines for community funding models reflective of the megawatts renewable energy projects generate. And I would like to see, and I know we wrote a motion for the ALGA conference, but can we just put another comma? It's really just note form, but I'd like to see us in that motion put forward something along the lines of councils to receive a portion of this funding to invest in community infrastructure in partnership with the impacted communities. With the impacted, sorry. Yeah. It's been kicked around. The Clean Energy Council actually states that it should be $1,000 per megawatt that's actually generated that communities should receive. The issue is how that money is actually invested. Councillor Henson's really right. There's no real clear guidelines or themes about how you'll engage community. And I can see in this instance, I believe it's a firm held belief that state government actually needs to trust local government a little bit more with this transition and to support local government in the transition. And we manage here in South Bennett over $1 billion worth of assets owned by the community, and we're struggling to renew them to meet community expectations. So I just think there's something in there for every council, not just ours, because a lot of the councils that will be impacted are rural and regional councils, to actually receive or be a partner in how these programs are rolled out in our impacted communities. And I look at Cumbia, for instance, with the park, you know, there could be a wonderful collaboration there where we build infrastructure that the community actually wants to see, lasting legacy infrastructure, not just, you know, we buy a barbecue and we put our sign up and we want to make everybody feel comfortable about who we are and what we're doing. We actually need people to lead. We need these renewable energy companies to lead with their checkbooks and to actually support communities like ours and to actually live by their values. So I'd really like to see us look at the other, we'll take some time to look at the other motions that I've drafted in the past and put some time into something to bring back for Monday. But I think we need to talk to that space, and I'll follow up with Paul Cranch to see if there's anything that he's got. Councillor Henshin. Oh, sorry, Councillor Potter.
I was just going to say, Paul Cranch is not with LJQ anymore, so
Oh, really?
there's another person in his space. Yes, no.
Oh, that's disappointing. Oh, well, Nathan, I'll follow up with Nathan. Thank you. Councillor Henshin.
Thank you, Acting Chair. I won't take up too much time. We've had some good discussion on this, but on that dot point, I said it yesterday, I've said it many times before, Code 23, I would like to see, and I certainly talk about it on Monday, but the big thing with Code 23, of course, they've got to go through development applications with all of this, but they really need to bang on about biosecurity, reef regulations, vegetation management, and our waste. And now that question was asked in this chamber yesterday. Waste, massive. 20 years' time, what's the waste going to be? You asked a question, Acting Chair, yesterday. I asked the question, what about tomorrow? Not 20 years' time, tomorrow when they build the thing, let alone 20 years. And to put it in perspective, in September last year, the figures mentioned were $770 million invested in this project, to today be $1.5 billion, with an estimated random figure, 10%, $150 million local injection. Well, that's pittance. Sorry. So we look forward to that workshop on Monday.
So we've got a bit of a mess of points here, CEO Mark, but are you happy with us to take this as a draft or?
Yeah, Chair, thank you, and through the Chair. So what it is today is, so we'll tidy up the formatting, so I won't worry about that today and some of the little wording, but if we just throw all these ideas up today, they'll be refined, so the recommendations that will come back next week we'll probably pick, and I would strongly think that we go, and certainly taking Councillor Erkin's point, they all won't necessarily be able to be done or done well if we do all of them. So maybe 6 to 8 you generally can get away with, you can put a fair bit of effort into, but we'll come back with an agenda item for next week out of this and discussion on Monday.
Sounds good, and look forward to the debate. I think that's the best part of these conferences. So is there any further comment? Everyone's comfortable? We might go to the vote that the officer's recommendation as per our long list of points, as per our discussion. Those in favour?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, hang on. I haven't got a mover because we've had discussion. Sorry. Moved by Councillor Henshin, seconded by Councillor Erkins. My apologies, Tiana. Those in favour?
Yes.
That's moved unanimously. Thank you, team. Okay. Moving on to item 9.1, 22-23, end of financial year stock take. Officer's recommendation that the council receive this report for information. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Duff, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Is there any questions, comments, feedback in relation to this report? Lou, would you like to provide any background context further to the report? No? Not really? No, so happy to go to the vote. Thank you for all your work in undertaking that stock take. It would have been an enormous effort, so thank you. Those in favour?
Yes.
Thank you. So that's carried unanimously. Item 9.2, amendment to fees and charges. The officer's recommendation that the committee recommend to council that the 23-24 fees and charges be amended to the following: acceptance of fridges, freezers, water heat pump systems, etc. degassing be reduced to $10 each. Acceptance of tractor tyres which are contaminated or are on rim be increased to $260 each. At the Mergen, Nanango and Wondai landfills, tyres, motorcycles to be charged at $6, tyres car to be charged at $10.50, tyres tractor to be charged at $129.50, that the amended fees take effect as of the 1st of August 2023. Can I seek a mover, please? I'm happy to move that. And Councillor
Yes.
Potter, you happy to second? Thank you.
Yes.
Manager Brooks, would you like to give us a review of the report?
Yeah, certainly through you, Madam Chair. So I think it's outlined in the report. However, just a brief summary, just with the refrigerant items, the fridges, freezers, etc. Since the fees and charges were adopted by council, we've found another supplier who can do it a lot cheaper than what the previous supplier was offering us. So that's reflected in the $10, and that's just a purely just covering contractors' costs. There's no money to be made out of that. There would appear to be an error in the tyres for the tractors, which are come in contaminated. So that's tractor tyres that come in with dirt and mud and all that sort of stuff on it, or with a rim. So once again, that's just reflective of the contractors' costs to remove those particular tyres. And yeah, there were some discrepancies or gremlin in the system in relation to those tyres. So those tyres for Mergen, Nanango and Wondai only just adjusted by 10 cents or whatever it is, 20 cents at the worst, and they just align with the fees that are charged at Kingaroy. So we got consistency across all our sites in relation to what is charged for those particular tyres. Happy to take any further questions.
Thank you, Manager Brooks. And just looking at the report, it says that there is rarely a tractor tyre that comes in on a rim that we actually charge this fee to. But I imagine it's because of the complexity. Does our team does somebody have to take the tyre off the rim, or how do we actually deal with that? Or does that just all go into landfill?
Through Acting Chair. So basically the tyres are accepted as is. Obviously there's some serious manual handling issues with dealing with those sorts of tyres. So if we do get a tyre like that come to site, it will just go into the tyre stockpile and then it'll be loaded out when the contractor comes to site to retrieve all the other tyres, and they obviously count the tyres that get loaded up and they charge us accordingly.
I would like to, I'm fully supportive of the report, but further to this, I've never actually been on a tour of our waste facilities. And I know we're having a lot of conversations about waste, and I would actually really like to better understand what we're actually doing, particularly at our Kingaroy landfills, but at all of our landfills. I know everyone is really, really busy, but I know you're working on that waste strategy, and I just would really appreciate an opportunity to eyeball some of these issues. So just flagging it with you, Manager Brooks, if that might be something that's able to be achieved, or CEO Mark. I think it would be really helpful. We've got so many landfills. I've only personally used a couple of them. So I think it would be really beneficial if somebody, I know you've got a new waste contractor, if somebody might be able to take us, if we were to meet you there and actually run us through the different, how materials are. What are your thoughts on that, Manager Brooks?
Yeah, through Acting Chair, no, certainly something that we can arrange, and obviously, you know, there's plenty of conversations in this chamber just around waste management and the costs that, you know, that are going to come before us in the coming years. So anything that we can, you know, bring you along on the journey with, I'd fully support. So yeah, we can look at making something happen, and we'll pick up a range of facilities just to give you a good cross section of what's out there and what we do and how we do it, and where the changes may need to take place in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Do you need a motion for that, or no? Happy just to take that. I really would appreciate it. I learned so much touring the Kingaroy wastewater facility a few years ago. That was probably one of my best days on council, and I just know being able to look at it's really important. Thank you, Councillor Erkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with that. I think it would be really great because it is one of the things that our community come back to us, They don't like the charges that they have on the recycle bins and all that. So if we were to have a better understanding, it allows us to be able to explain to our community and also, to get more au fait with the charges that we could be in for if we don't get our landfill down. And, some photos from ourselves to put up on our social media page as well to show our community, how bad it is and how they need to be helping and contributing and to become part of the solution and not to be still part of the problem. So that would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Henshin.
Yeah, thank you, Acting Chair. Yeah, look, we have a very, very interesting map there and waste is on the tip of our tongue, as just mentioned with the renewable side of things, which will bring enormous amount of waste as well. There's 17 on that map there that I would like to see every councillor go and visit in some future space. Thank you.
Here. Sounds good. And lunch at the Geelong pub, the Geelong store. Yeah, well, we know we can get a beer there now. Any further conversation about this one? No? Happy to go to the vote? Yes, those in favour?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, Tiana. Item 10.1, Councillor Potter, it's great pleasure to welcome you to present your report.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to bring up a couple of things. I'm not going to read the whole report. I just first of all want to thank everyone for Under 8s Day. The council attended and the libraries were amazing for Under 8s Day. And then following Under 8s Day, the following Saturday, the libraries did an amazing medieval day. So, and it was just wonderful. It was, there were like about 200, 250 people there at medieval day, and it was a lot of fun. And even we had families that were dressing up, and it was so good to see. A little bit sad that Shelley beat me in the archery, but anyway, I'll get over that one. The other one I just want to bring up is some of these library stats when we look at them. So the library has had 158,041 visitors for the 22-23 period, and during that period we've got 1,274 new members, and I just think this is incredible that we've got all these new people joining the libraries. And the amount of in-house programs, 1,376 in-house programs, so with over 8,000 attendees. Now, that to me shows just our libraries are just doing an amazing job within all our communities. So, but apart from that, I'd just like to move that my report be accepted as read. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we seek a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any comment in relation to the report? Just wanted to congratulate you, Councillor Potter, on the Under 8s Day here in Kingaroy with over 300 kids in attendance. I did go down and sort of wander around the crowd. It was chaotic. I know you and the team, our council team here, our community development team, and certainly Linda O'May, certainly did our council very proud being part of that event. And it was wonderful to have Andrea Baldwin. She actually explained to me, she's the author of the Birdie books. She explained to me at the event that she actually went to school with Mayor Otto. She's yet to meet Mayor Otto, but she would really like to meet Mayor Otto next time she's in the region. So that was really good to hear. And, you know, the library put so much work into their presentation too at Under 8s Day with their bear hunt. It was wonderful to catch up with the team. They put so much effort in. They had cars full of stuff that they'd made, and I know everyone had a wonderful time. So many families had a wonderful time. So thank you, Councillor Potter, to you and your team and all of the council staff that put in such a wonderful effort to the Under 8s Day. It was fantastic to see, even despite the cold weather, the park was full of people.
Through you, Madam Chair, I just want to say that the South Burnett Partnerships for Kids, who organise the Underage Day, which I'm a part of, they do an amazing job in our community. And, Jackie and Peter and the Shelleys of the teams, we just love what we're doing. And without them, it just wouldn't have happened.
Thank you. And you're doing some wonderful work with that ADA partnership as well. I met the Aged and Disability Advocacy team. That's a wonderful service for our community, as is the work you've been doing on how children have been faring in the region. So thank you for all of your efforts. And the facade improvement program, been meeting with a couple of businesses I'm sure you all have around the respective towns, and some of them have said to me they would never have done new signage or painted their buildings if it hadn't have been for that program. So that's really impressive. A huge kudos and thanks to the team. It's really lifting the way our streets are looking. Councillor Erkins, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I'd like to just mention how fabulous Councillor Potter looked at the library medieval. However, I am concerned that I did have a prior engagement and I did have my outfit ready, but after seeing hers, I can see I've got to work a little further on mine before next year, and I'm going to be there with my outfit. Congratulations, Councillor Potter.
Oh, I like a bit of a challenge there. I'd have to have a fancy dress parade. Any further questions? No, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Thank
Yes.
you. That's carried unanimously. I reckon we can fit in a couple more reports before we break. Item 10.2, the Community and Lifestyle Operational Update. Is there the officer's recommendation that the Community and Lifestyle Operational Update be received? Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Henshin, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. So any questions, comments on the statistics in the report provided? No. Comprehensive report there. I did catch up with the volunteers recently at the Famil Day that was held here in Kingaroy with all of our major industry, and certainly want to give them a shout out. They've been working hard, as you can see there, with the number of days our visitor information centres have been opened and the volunteer hours contributed. It is an extraordinary thing what those volunteers do for our community. Councillor Erkins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd just like to say with the Visitor Information Centre, I recently attended a meeting with Visit South Burnett, the local tourism association, where there has been some talk of tourism operators maybe popping into the visitor information centres and showing their appreciation to the workers who are in there, because most of those people in the visitor information centres, they're volunteers, they're not tourist operators, but they are promoting our tourist operations and our region. And Visit South Burnett are very keen for tourism operators to pop in, maybe take them in a bit of morning tea and just show some appreciation for the work that they do. So I'm very keen to see those tourist operators follow up and do that. Thank you.
Here. Any further comment, questions? No? We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you.
Yes.
That's carried unanimously. So item 11, Trustee Lease, Nanango and District Netball Association. The recommendation that South Burnett Regional Council resolves that the exception in the Local Government Regulation 2012 Section 2361B2 applies to council for the disposal by way of grant of a lease of the valuable non-current asset, which is Lease A on Lot 212 on Crown Plan FY 2647 to the Nanango and District Netball Association Incorporated. South Burnett Regional Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate, finalise and execute the lease between Council and the Nanango and District Netball Association on terms and conditions the CEO reasonably considers satisfactory to Council. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Oaken. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Henshin. Is there any comment, question, discussion on the report? No, it's pretty self-explanatory. Certainly want to give a shout out to the Nanango Netball Association. They're doing an amazing job. Okay, those in favour?
Yes.
Carried unanimously. Would you like to break for morning tea? Yeah? Okay. We will. Oh, Councillor Henshin's keen to break for morning tea. He's got the kids in the car. Though a seconder, I'm happy to second that. Go pat Councillor Henshin's kids in the car. Those in favour?
Yes.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Shall we come back at 10:30? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunate. General Manager Susan wasn't here, so we could sing our happy birthday. And I understand she's in the dentist chair, but we wish Manager Susan a very happy birthday and hope. Did we eat all of the cake? No. We'll wait for her before we have cake. So 12.1. Councillor Erkins, would you like to present your tourism, visitor information, sport and rec and commercial enterprises? Oh, sorry. I'll move that the meeting resume at 10:34. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Henshin. Those in favour?
Yep.
Sorry, Tiana, I was getting ahead of myself. Councillor Erkins, would you like to present your report, please?
Thank you. It's only very short, so I'll just give a praises of us as well. I was very happy to attend the Visit South Burnett's meet and greet with some council staff, Manager Jennifer, and we were out at the Bjelke Peterson Dam, which is an absolutely fabulous facility. It was a great evening, and Jennifer gave some great figures showing that the dam is quite an asset to us. They're also out at the dam, there'll be the Music at the Dam event later in the year, and there are some fabulous entertainers going to be there. The Wolf Brothers, Casey Barnes, Will Day, Taylor Moss. I have to tell you, regrettably, I've never heard of any of them. The improvements, true. The improvements that, I will be there, but the improvements at the Coolabunnya sale yards were well received, and they, again, the sale yards are also starting to really pick up, and hopefully we'll see them being cost neutral. I attended the AGM, well, actually the annual dinner of the Soaring Club in Kingaroy along with Councillor Potter, and we were well looked after out there at their facility, and council are also keen to see this facility become more viable and not a drain on ratepayers. So we're looking forward to this being progressed in the new operational plan. Sport and recreation, I was very proud to be attending the Dead Cow Gully Masters Ultra Marathon event, and since that event there have been a few things posted where Nanango has featured on the news in America, in New Zealand, and different other places. Timothy Walsh, the organiser of that event, has actually been invited to go to America to crew for a competitor over there in an event. We had 2 new volunteers for the month, one for the Bondi Heritage Museum, one for Mergen. And as I said earlier in one of my rambles on, that the visitor information centres are hopefully going to be visited by tourism operators. So I'd like to move that my report be accepted, and anyone who wants to read it in more full can obtain it from our minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henshin, for seconding that. Thank you, Councillor Erkins, for your report. Any questions, comments from the team? No. Councillor Erkins, I have downloaded the Wolf Brothers couple of albums. So I'll be able to sing along at the event, and I'll be able to give you the names of those so you can look them up. It's going to be a great night. All right, those in favour? Yes, thank you. Carried unanimously. Okay, 13.1 is my portfolio report for Regional Development, Development Services, Community and Social Housing Portfolio Report. On the building front, for the month of May, the building team has received 69 customer requests, 57 building applications, 27 council applications, 28 privately certified lodgements. The number of building applications received by council for 22-23 financial year was 402, compared to the previous year of 441 and 364 for the 2019-20 year. That's wonderful to see so much continued growth in our region, and a huge shout out to our very small building team who do an exceptional job. The number of privately certified applications received by council for 22-23 was 255 compared to 257 for the previous year and 195. So that really strong pipeline of growth for our region on the building front. Planning for the month, the planning team has received 102 customer requests, 8 planning applications, and attended 6 pre-lodgement meetings. The breakdown is 4 material changes of use, 3 reconfiguring of a lot, 1 plan ceiling, and 3 development incentive scheme applications. The number of applications received in 22-23 was 121 compared to 109 for the previous year and 64 for the 19-20 year. And it's wonderful to see those reconfigurations of a lot happening. That's often infill development, which supports more housing outcomes or provides more land, which is excellent. So thank you to the planning team. Plumbing has received 13 customer requests and 20 plumbing and drainage applications. The number of plumbing applications was 236 in 22-23, 299 for the previous financial year and 248 for 2019-20. So thank you to our plumbing team for the work they've done. Just an update on the major planning scheme amendment, which I know is really important to council. A revised version has been submitted to the Department of State Development, Infrastructure, Local Government and Planning on the 22nd of March. State's timeframe for its review expired in May and we haven't yet received a response. Our consultant advises that such delay is a consistent local government experience and continues to follow the department about council's request. As of the 6th of June, council's request remains within the internal approval processes for the department and or with the minister. The next process step is for the minister to give council notice of the outcome of the state interest review, whether council may proceed to publicly consult the proposed major amendment of the planning scheme and the communication strategy that council must implement when proceeding to public consultation. On the resourcing front, there's a heavy reliance on utilising consultants to provide the planning functions and service due to the senior planner being on extended leave and planning officer position being recruited. Council's senior planner is due back from leave on the 10th of July and Zach Soper will commence on the 17th of July as Council's planning officer. And a really big giant welcome to Zach. I hope he enjoys his time at South Burnett. No doubt he will hit the ground running. Our inspection program preparation has commenced to implement an improved inspection program under the Local Government Act. The purpose of the proposed program is to monitor compliance with plumbing and building requirements in Hybesville, and a further report will be presented to council in the near future. Just a heads up for council. Thank you to the planning, plumbing, building team for providing that information and for the work that they do. I would like to move my report and seek a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Henshin. Any comment, question on the report? Councillor Henshin.
Thank you, Acting Chair. Just a question on page 97 and 98. Comparisons there are for financial year 22-23 and then the previous year, and then it states for 2019-20 financial year on both 97 and 98, Is that perhaps a misprint where it should be 2021? Because we've missed 2021. Sorry, not being pedantic, but it states the previous financial year and then 2019, 2020. I believe that possibly should be 2020, 21. Would that be correct, or are we looking at 2019, 20? Because 2021 is not noted there.
Yeah, possibly
Sorry,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, through you, Acting Chair. Yeah, so those numbers are for the 2 preceding years. So yeah, that would be correct.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Henshin. My apologies. Yes, that's a good pickup. Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Just wanting to know about the inspection program. It says here the purpose of the proposed program is to monitor compliance with building and plumbing requirements in Highsville. Is that specific to Highsville? And was that based around complaints? That's my first question. Thank you.
I'll take that one, Councillor. This is starting in Highsville. It won't be specific to Highsville, but and it is based around complaints. So we're dealing with the areas of greatest, greatest complaint, but areas of complaints and outstanding issues that we have, and it'll spread across the whole region. Spread across the whole region, so it won't be just Highsville. It has to have a start point and an end point.
Thank you. And the second question is, are we still on track? I know that it's up to the minister, but do we still think that we're going to have that planning scheme finalised by the end of the year? Because I've led some of the developers to that belief that they think it's going to be done by the end of the year. Is that still your thoughts? Perhaps.
Yeah, I'll go. We're a leaf on the pond of the wind of the department. I'm being poetic. We would like it to be, and that's our aspiration, but we're at the mercy of the state government.
Thank you. That's disappointing to hear that we just, that it's going to once again be held up, because I know there's a lot of people hoping that gets approved sooner rather than later, so that they can move forward with what they're proposing to do in different areas, particularly around Moffat-Dale. So thank you.
Could not agree more, Councillor. And through you, the Chair, the other issue that's starting to play very much on my mind, and as we push to get the state to do its thing, whilst the beginning of the caretaker protocols commence in January with advertising and arrange, and then ramp up to the elections. So once we get to the 31st December, there will be no major decisions that we'll be capable of, and really until April. And then you'll have whatever the format of the council is at that point in time. We'll have to pick it up from there. So if something isn't completed by the end of this year, you'll have a 3-month gap where we won't be able to do anything until after the local government elections.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Duff. I think we can all agree it's not for lack of trying, and that the team has done all that they can to progress it, and it really is at the whim of the minister now. But certainly we've done a lot of work on that major planning scheme to really try to streamline, remove some red tape, encourage more agribusiness and more farm stay accommodation, and certainly the work done around the Moffat-Dale area and that tourism precinct. There's some really exciting things that we want to share with our community. So I share your frustration, and unfortunately certainly recognise the work our team has done in trying to get that issue resolved, but we really are at the whim of the government. So with that in mind, can I please put to the vote those in favour of receiving the report? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. There on page 99, we've got the Planning and Land Management Operational Update. I'd like to move that the Planning and Land Management Operational Update be received for information. Can I seek a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any questions in relation to the report? No. We'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you to the team for providing the report. Okay, delegated reports on 14, page 102. The officer's recommendation that the delegated authority report be received. Can I seek a mover? Thank you, Councillor Oaken. Seconded. Thank you, Councillor Henshin. Is there any questions, comments in relation to the report? No, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Just finding my page.
196.
Thank you. Okay, the list of correspondence 14.2. Can I have a mover, please, that the list of correspondence pending completion of assessment report as of the 30th of June be received? Thank you, Councillor Henshin. I'm happy to second that. T. It's a long list there. Any questions, discussion? No, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, question on notice was from myself. In the officer's recommendation that the response to the question regarding customer service levels raised by Councillor Shoemaker be received and noted. I'm happy to move that and seek a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Thank you to the team for the response in relation to the customer service charter. I don't have any further questions. It's good to understand there's a variance in the timeframes depending on the customer request and the specific details of the request. And I know that continues to be a focus of council in terms of improving wherever we can. Councillor Duff?
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. I'm continuing to get complaints from people saying that they haven't got a response back from council when they said that they were going to. No one got back to them, and it could be some weeks. So it says here, if a council employee is unable to answer the customer query immediately or the relevant department is unable to take the call, the customer's contact details will be recorded. To ensure the inquiry or service request is acknowledged, or a return call or preferred form of contact from the responsible department within 2 business days. So just how do we, if a customer is saying that they're not getting, someone's getting back to, there's no one got back to them, how do we, what's the role of a councillor in that situation? Do we need to get more specifics and send them through to you, Mr. CEO? I'm just wondering how we can address this, because it is damaging council's reputation.
CEO Mark?
Thanks, Chair, Acting Chair. It is, yeah, if you could get the specifics and send them through to myself with the relevant general manager, because it is difficult just as a broad brush, because with the CRM reporting now every month, the senior leadership team is getting a list of all the customer requests and the outstanding, what ones are overdue and the time frame. So it is something that we're trying to keep track of. I would never say that they don't drop through the holes, but it's just trying to pin down the ones that do and why. So yeah, the specifics are really most helpful, please, and send them straight through. And if it's not being, they're all escalating between the levels. So if there's multiple levels that are not doing the right thing, yeah, please send them through to myself and the general manager, and we'll follow them up straight away.
Thank you. That's good to know.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything, Manager Beck? No?
I guess I just want to add, Chair, that we're currently reviewing the customer charter, just to make sure that the new system, the customer request system, does align with our policy and the charter. So that will be coming to council when we've finished our review and for input from council.
Fantastic. Thank you for your efforts. That'll be really helpful. All right, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? It's
Yep.
carried unanimously. Okay. Councillor Shoemaker was on fire last time with her questions on notice. What's the difference between clubs and showgrounds with a compared 0% compared to 50% concession? The history is there in relation to the question, so thank you. I'm happy to move that the response to the question regarding the difference between clubs and showgrounds raised by Councillor Shoemaker be received and noticed, and seek a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Is there any further questions in relation to that? No. Happy to go to the vote. Those in favour?
Yep.
Thank you. It's moved, carried unanimously. Report 15.3, drop in local purchasing. This was a question on notice from you, Councillor Duff, in relation to the drop, and the report is there for your review. Do you have any further questions?
No, happy with the response. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's wonderful to see CEO Mark and the team that we're tracking these. Oh, welcome back, Susan. We didn't eat all of your birthday cake while you were gone. It is wonderful to see that we're tracking. We're very mindful of what our local purchases are as per our accounts payable, where we are spending our money, and to see that it ebbs and flows, of course, depending on our ability to procure different services. But, for May, we have, as a council, invested $1.954967 and 96 cents million. That's 46.65% of our spend for May was in our local area, as well as in the surrounding areas of Cherbourg, Dalby, Gomerri, our neighbouring council in Yarraman, where we couldn't get local spend. But that's the spend was 1.709,348.11. Sorry, stand corrected. Locally, with the remaining of the spend, outside of the region, but we're really focused on doing all that we can to spend locally. So thank you to the team for the work they do. With that in mind, we'll go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Oh, sorry, I'll move that and seek a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Sorry, T. It was unanimous.
Yep.
Okay, confidential section. That officers recommend that council considers the confidential reports listed in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012. We have made the decision to defer item 16.1. So it is item 16.2, legal update on planning matters before... Oh, sorry, it is number 1. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
So we will review item 16.1 and we will defer 16.2 to a later meeting. 16.1, legal update on planning matters before the Planning and Environment Court 1. This matter is considered to be confidential under section 254JE of the Local Government Regulation, and the Council is satisfied that the discussion of this matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest, as it deals with legal advice obtained by local government or legal proceedings involving the local government, including, for example, legal proceedings that may be taken by or against the local government. So I need a mover for that. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Second, Councillor Erkins. Do we need to remove 16.2 from that we're moving into closed meeting? Yeah, we don't need to remove the 16.2 though, because that won't be discussed. Yeah, take that out. That's what I thought. So it's just 16.1. Okay, those in favour?
Yep.
To move into close, that's carried unanimously. Okay, so the officer's recommendation that the report be received for information in relation to 16.1 legal update on planning matters before the Planning and Environment Court. Can I seek a mover? Thank you, Councillor Duff. Seconded, Councillor Erkins. Any comments? Those in favour? Councillor Potter, you've frozen. Might have got kicked out. We still have quorum with the 4 of us. Yep, so those in favour, it's Councillor Henshin, Duff, Erkins and Schumacher. And unfortunately, Councillor Potter has been frozen. Thank you for a really productive meeting this morning. Thanks for turning up. I think, is there a motion to close the meeting? Oh, Councillor Potter, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, it just cut me out for a minute.
You're all right. So I'd like to move a motion, you're back, that the meeting closed at 10 past, declared the meeting closed at 10 past 11, 11:10. Councillor Potter, can you just stay online for a moment?